still felt embarrassed as Kokichi got dressed in Sin's clothes. I didn't know why, but my whole body was feeling all weird all over. Mostly because I am changing into a girl's body and wearing girl clothes. I hate this. Honestly, I've never liked having to wear a skirt or a dress. The only reason I had to wear one was because one time in the detective agency, there was a need for a detective to go undercover, and all the girls were busy, so I had to fill that role.
Shuichi, what are we supposed to do here?
Kokichi asked, as he slipped the dress on himself, as I pulled the boots on. I stood up and walked over to him. I can only think of how much his body must be suffering. How much Sin must be suffering because of this. Because of my mistake. I'm not sure, honestly, I whispered, before he got the dress on and ran up to me.
I got changed!
He said with a big smile, as if he was a child seeing a surprise on their birthday. It's kinda cute. I felt my face get hot because of this thought, so I turned my head to the side. I only did this for a moment, so I could compose myself a little before looking him in the eyes.
Well, we can always figure that out,
he said with a laugh, before the room around us changed. The bed disappeared, and the bedside tables just vanished. New scenery came around us. It was like a summer's day. Grass was blowing around us slowly as the wind played its own melodies in the wind, calming the atmosphere around the both of us. Kichi? I called out, because he had disappeared from my sight. I felt a twinge of panic come into my body before I heard some rustling by a tree that was behind me. I looked over at the tree, and for a small moment, I saw a piece of black hair flowing in the wind. I knew it was Kokichi, and he must have been hiding from me. Cookie? I asked, getting closer to the tree. He didn't say anything. He only giggled a bit. I sighed to myself and walked over to reach him, but he pulled away at the last moment. I was confused by this, but before I was able to say anything, he hopped onto my back.
Wow, she can really control the wind. Nishishi?
He said with a laugh. I moved my hand to hold onto his legs so he would be steady. Yeah, she is the wind elemental, I said with a sigh. Kokichi just flicked my forehead, making me grunt in pain. What? I asked, before he planted a kiss on my forehead.
See? Now it's all better,
he said with a laugh. This all felt like a dream. Like it isn't even real. Wait, is this even real? I thought to myself, before I looked over at Kokichi, who was waving to me in the distance. The scenery changed around me again, and it made me even more skeptical. How the hell has it changed into the best place I can think of? Sin, it's going to be okay, I said, gently moving the blanket around my hands so I would be able to touch her, and maybe soothe her pain and suffering. She seemed to relax for a small moment at the small touch, but that small moment of reassurance was gone as soon as it started.
Hess?
She called out, before she moved my head down to her chest. I looked up at her, feeling confused, before I remembered. Shuichi was able to soothe Kokichi's pain by kissing over the scars on his chest. So, I should be able to do the same. Let's try it. Sin needs to be healed. It's going to be okay. I'm right here, I soothed, moving my fingers over my lips. I placed a layer of healing fire over them so my lips wouldn't have to make contact with their skin to make it heal a bit. I then moved my head back to her chest and softly placed ghost kisses over the scars that were now pulsating with light. There was no way this could be good. This has never happened before with any bond being. And I'm sure Sin has never cared this much for one she is bonded to. Kokichi sure is something special. I kept moving my head over her chest, making small movements to make sure I never touched her with skin-to-skin contact, because that breaks the rules. The rules of that stupid curse. Some days, I wish that she was the water element, or that I was the earth element, because then it wouldn't have to be this way. Well, if I was another one, I wouldn't be able to see her at all, because the rules of telepathic communication. After her body calmed down, I moved my face back up to look down at her again.
It's okay.
I whispered again, moving down to her lips to place a ghost kiss there as well. Her eyes closed as exhaustion took over her again. So I just moved to her side as the scars faded back to the pale pink that her skin was. I laid my head down and put the blanket as a border around her body, wrapping her inside of it to protect her from me. I hate having to be cursed. This curse just makes this immortal life less enjoyable, as they had promised us. But, I mean, even the gods curse this relationship we have. This makes them resent the both of us. And I hate how it's always sin that takes the harder fall from my elemental power, and that most of the time, I'm not fazed at all by hers. Sure, getting windburned is terrible, but it is nothing compared to the intense burns that my elemental power inflicts on others. It makes it so much worse that this is sin we are talking about.
I love you. You were the moon to my sun. But sadly, the sun was too hot and the moon was too far. So our love will stay distant because of how forbidden it is.
I whispered to her, remembering a time when she said the exact line to me many centuries ago.